Hello, everyone out there in Rumble X and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to talk some more about Wicked, Wicked for Good, the sequel to Wicked from last year. Okay, this gay-infested story full of a lot of gay stuff in there, coded, of course. All right, because it is for kids, technically. Okay, but it's the adults will get all the gayness out of it, and that's the target audience. That's what they want. Now, in my last video, I went on a big little rant, I guess. I'm sorry about that, where I really talked about Hollywood, okay, in general, and how they've been screwing up movies, all right, when I should have been talking about the movie I'm reviewing instead. So I went off on a little bit of a tangent there, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to focus back on the movie now so we can get this review over with, okay? Because I trust me, it's a chore. It's not as exciting. This movie to get through as the last one was. Okay, Wicked 1, I enjoyed it. Okay, it wasn't a great movie, but there was good things in it. Okay, and if you want to see my review on that, it's already on this channel. I reviewed that movie last year, I think. So I gave you all my thoughts on that at the time. This movie is not as good. Okay, because I think the real reason people wanted to see Wicked, the reason I wanted to see Wicked, the reason I bought the book 20-something years ago and read it was because, we wanted to see, okay, how this character interacts with the events from the 1939 Wizard of Oz movie. But from the witch's point of view, that was the hook, okay? Well, this sequel, Wicked for Good, gives you that. It's supposed to give you that. It's like, okay, now that we've established all the characters, we've established the premise, the setting, the background, all that's set up, and now it's time to converge this story into the story that we already know from 1939. It's time to merge these two so that you see the events that are taking place concurrently with the events of the 1939 Wizard of Oz. So I thought we were going to get a lot more Dorothy, a lot more the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion, and see how they play off of this. Now that we know who they really are, who these characters really are, the Tin Man is Bach. Okay, the Scarecrow is Fiyero. Okay, so now that we know who these characters are, now that we know who the Wizard is, he's this evil, malevolent, manipulating trickster. Okay, this fraud. I got a con man who's conned the entire city, the entire Emerald City, into believing that he has magical powers. Okay, so now that we know the background of this guy, okay, how are we going to relate that to the events of the Wizard of Oz? Okay, and we don't. We don't. If you actually look at this movie, it does not fit in with the 1939 Wizard of Oz. And that, for me, is a letdown. Okay, because I wanted to see Dorothy I want to see Dorothy as the antagonist. I'm not saying that she's evil or she's mean, okay? I'm saying that she is Elphaba's antagonist, okay? She's the one that will ultimately do Elphaba in, or so we thought, okay? So I wanted to see that. I wanted to see Dorothy from Elphaba's eyes, okay? Yeah, we didn't get that. In fact, we got a lot of stuff, and I already talked about it in the last video, okay, about the incongruency, the inconsistency, if you will, of the characters of Fiyero and Bach, okay, and their motivations. Okay, now that we know that Fiyero, the love of Elphaba's life, okay, is really the Scarecrow, that means that everything that he did in The Wizard of Oz was for his own selfish motivations. He didn't want a brain. He didn't need a brain. He had a brain, and he knew it. He was faking being dumb so that he could manipulate Dorothy to go see the wizard, and then manipulate Dorothy to kill Elphaba, him knowing the entire time that water would not kill Elphaba, but going along with that narrative so as to fake her death, so that after Dorothy goes home or whatever, he gets to run off with her, walk away with her into the sunset, okay, with Elphaba, now that he's a Scarecrow. You see what I mean? This is more sinister, okay, and I don't buy that at all, okay, because it takes away from the magic of the Wizard of Oz. Same thing with Bach, the Tin Man. Okay, he wanted a heart, or so we thought in the original movie. Turns out, no, what he wanted was to kill Elphaba for real, not fake, for real. Because he blamed her for turning him into a Tin Man. Which she did, but she did it to save his life. Okay, it was her sister, the Wicked Witch of the East, Nyssa Rose, who cast a spell that was going to kill him. And so Elphaba cast a counter spell, which turned him into the Tin Man in order to keep him alive. That's what really happened. Okay, but of course the Tin Man doesn't see that. Okay, Bach doesn't see that. All he wants is to kill Elphaba. Okay, which is a total reversal of his character earlier in this movie and the last movie, and a completely 180 from his character in the original Wizard of Oz. He was not some bloodthirsty guy. He just wanted a heart. He thought he couldn't feel things like humans could because he lacked a heart. When actually he was the most sensitive and most caring, most emotional and empathetic one out of all of them. Out of the quartet there, he was the most emotional one. So he definitely did have emotions. He just thought that he didn't. Okay, and that was the point of the Wizard of Oz. Okay, the point of the movie was these people were all looking for something that they needed outside of themselves. Okay, which is exactly what Dorothy was doing. She was hoping for a world over the rainbow, a world that was better than the world that she was living in. She hated her life, and she wished for it to be to live in a place that was different from her current circumstances, living with her aunt and uncle on a farm. That just wasn't for her. She didn't fit in there. She didn't want that. She wanted a life that was more exciting, more colorful, if you will. Okay, that's what Over the Rainbow was about. Okay, and what she discovers at the end of the Wizard of Oz is that everything that she wanted, she already had. She just didn't appreciate it. She didn't know what gratitude meant, and she finally understood that by the end. She understood gratitude. Okay. Now you're telling me that these characters, everyone from the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow, that they didn't give two craps about Dorothy. They just teamed up with her for their own selfish reasons. You see, and that deflates the Wizard of Oz, to me. Okay, and there's no way that Gregory Maguire, the author of the book, okay, or the director of this movie, there's no way that they could, kind of fit in the events of Wicked into the Wizard of Oz 1939. They couldn't, because it's two completely different stories. All right, there's no way they could do that. Clearly, in 1939, the Wicked Witch of the West is wicked. She's not faking it. It's not a PR campaign against her. Okay, the wizard isn't some evil being. If he was evil, he never would have like given them what they wanted at the end. You see what I mean? So it doesn't fit in at all with the Wizard of Oz, thereby taking away Dorothy's story arc, thereby the Wizard of Oz, at the end we realized that it was all a dream, that she just dreamed that she was in the land of Oz because she bumped her head during the tornado. Okay, but it was a metaphor for her life. Okay, it was an allegory about the struggles, the internal struggles that she was having at that time. Her dream was kind of trying to make sense of all of her anxieties, okay, and put them and give form to them, because it's easier when you can look at something than it is to be afraid of something that you can't put your finger on. You see what I mean? So that's what it was. It was just her mind reconciling, okay, with all of her fears, okay, and all of her insecurities, okay, so that when she wakes up, she realizes, oh my God, I'm alive, and I love all of you, and I'm never going to try to run away again. I'm not going to put you through that pain, okay, of not knowing where I am, and what's happened to me and that kind of thing, you see? So that was the whole point, okay? And it's a great message, okay? This movie doesn't really live up to that, okay? The second half, this part, okay, is not nearly as good as the first half, okay? And that's pretty obvious. That's the biggest letdown with this movie, is that it's not as good as the last one. The last one had promise. But this one is like, oh, wait a minute, that didn't happen in The Wizard of Oz. Wait a minute, how the hell did that happen? First of all, Glinda was there. Okay, Dorothy met Elphaba and Glinda at the same time. Okay, when she walked out of that house after that song and dance with the Munchkins. Okay, so that should have been portrayed there. Okay, and it wasn't. Okay, Dorothy and Toto were long gone. Okay, with the slippers. Okay, when Elphaba shows up and has a little fight with Glinda. Okay, that didn't happen. Okay, Elphaba in The Wizard of Oz, she threw fireballs at Dorothy. Okay, she threw fireballs at her friends. All right, this Elphaba would never do that. This Elphaba would never threaten to kill her dog. She loved animals. She would never threaten to kill a little puppy. Are you crazy? You see what I mean? So it doesn't fit in. It doesn't fit in. Okay, in the original Wizard of Oz, Glinda clearly had magical powers. Okay, she wasn't on some machine that formed a bubble. She had magical powers. She could do stuff. Okay, she's the one that saved them when the Poppies knocked out the Cowardly Lion and Dorothy and Toto. Okay, and rusted the Tin Man. The Scarecrow was unaffected. Okay, it was Glinda waving her wand that woke them up from that. That saved them from that. She couldn't have done that with a machine. You see what I mean? So like, just little things like that, okay? Clearly, the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda the Good both had powers. They were both sorcerers in a way. They were both witches. You see what I mean? Glinda, if I remember, she disappeared. She disappeared in her ball, okay? She teleported, okay? Something that the Glinda in this movie cannot do, okay? So it's just, just stuff like that. Just kind of threw me off, okay? It doesn't fit in, and therefore I can't make this movie, these movies, a companion to the original Wizard of Oz because they don't fit in. They don't fit in at all, okay? And that to me is a letdown because the promise of these movies was that, hey, here's a story that does fit into the Wizard of Oz. It's just a story you didn't know, okay? It allows you to look at it from a different point of view. But now that we've seen this different point of view, which started off really good, it missed the landing. Okay, there's no way a character like Elphaba would ever do the things that she did in The Wizard of Oz. Okay, you see what I mean? It's more than just a propaganda piece against her. It's her actions. It's the Wicked Witch of the West's actions, what she did. She wrote "Surrender, Dorothy" up there in the sky. Okay, that wasn't, there was no wrong way to take that. It's just clear what she wanted. She threatened Dorothy's life. She wanted those slippers that bad. Okay, and yet this Elphaba, this Wicked Witch would never do that. She would never kill a little girl. You see what I mean? She was mad at Dorothy, yes. Okay, but she knew damn well that it wasn't Dorothy's fault that her house landed on her sister. Okay, and she knew that Dorothy didn't steal those slippers. Okay, Glinda gave them to her. And Glinda was the one that told her to keep them on your feet. Don't give them to anybody. You see what I mean? So that's where the inconsistency is, and that's the problem I had. This movie does not fit in well with the other movie. All right, now moving right along, where we left off last time, here. Oh yeah, oh my God, I forgot. Real quickly, here. That right there, Diego knows Diego. Okay, Diego, that right there is my X. Okay, this video will also be on X. All right, because Elon Musk. Okay, and this right here, Diego de la Vega knows, that is my Rumble. That's Rumble, okay? So all these videos go on Rumble too, okay? Because you never know, YouTube, they'll shadow ban me, they'll censor me. If I say something that doesn't fit their liberal, progressive agenda, then they just won't show your videos. And I'm not the only one, I'm small fry. I know they're not looking for me. I'm small fry, okay? But they do that to the bigger channels, which is kind of why I'm happy that I'm not really a big channel at all, okay? Because at least they're not really paying attention to me. I'm just hoping that whatever I say kind of helps you out, okay? Because I don't just talk about movies here. I talk about how these movies affect life, okay? I grew up watching lots of movies, all right, as a kid, okay? I didn't go outdoors. I didn't play sports. My mom wouldn't let me do that stuff, okay? So I watched lots of movies and TV shows, okay? And these things influenced my character, okay? These things taught me lessons in life. Some good and some bad, okay? Clearly, the most important lessons that I learned in life, I had to learn the hard way, okay? TV and movies did not prepare me for those, okay? But I do understand the significance of the influence that these movies have, especially when you're young, okay? And I'm here just to tell you, hey, listen, okay? I've been there. I know what it's like, okay? And there's a message that they're trying to tell you, and it's not always a good message, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you here, okay? Because I know that it's women mostly that watch Wicked. That's why I review chick flicks, okay? It's because, ladies, the stuff that you get fed in these movies, okay, is not realistic, okay, at all, okay? And I'm here to to bring you down to size, to let you know, no, this is what a guy would really do, not what you're seeing in this movie, okay? And that's what I'm doing here, all right? So, where we left off last time here, okay, what do you call it? Elphaba turned Bach into the Tin Man in order to save his life. Okay, and then she flew away to go see the wizard. Okay, then all of a sudden, Bach, as the Tin Man, he's not Bach anymore. He attacks Nyssa Rose. Okay, the governor of Munchkin Land, Elphaba's sister. But Nyssa Rose lies and tells Bach that it was actually Elphaba that turned him into the Tin Man, not her. Although she was the one that cast the spell to kill him, and Elphaba was the one that cast the spell to turn him into the Tin Man in order to save his life. So the Tin Man walks out of there angry, with bloodthirsty, okay, stomping out of there, looking for Elphaba in order to kill her with that axe that he has now, as revenge for turning him into a Tin Man. Okay. Meanwhile, back in the land of Oz, okay, back in Emerald City, we're reintroduced to the Wizard of Oz. We have not seen him since the last movie. Okay, this movie takes place 5 years after the events of the last movie. The wizard, he's there playing with himself. Literally, that's what he does. As the Wizard of Oz, he rules the land of Oz. He has nothing better to do than to make these little gadgets and stuff, these little trinkets. A lot of steampunk stuff in there, and he plays with it. He plays with model trains and action figures, and he designed a model of the land of Oz, and painted it all, and put electrical lights in there to light up the yellow brick road and stuff like that. That's what he does. He doesn't really govern anything. Okay, he just hides out in his tower, and he develops these little trinkets. Like, he developed that big robotic Jeff Goldblum head that he uses when people want to speak to the wizard. Okay, he's got all this stuff in there. Okay, like a little freaking kid, even though he's like 60, 70 years old. He's got all these little things in there that he plays with. Okay, and he dresses all in green in 19th century or 20th century clothes. That kind of stuff. All right. Yeah, so that's him there. Okay, he's amusing himself in his castle, the Emerald City. While Glinda, by the way, she's getting ready for her wedding. She announced her engagement to Prince Fiero, who is the captain of the the Gale Force Guards. Those are the guards that are looking for Elphaba so they can bring her to justice. Okay, she announced her engagement to him. Okay, without his knowledge. He was like he got hit by the side with this information. He had no idea that he was supposed to marry Glinda, but he agreed to it once Glinda convinced him that Elphaba was never going to come back. She wants to be a fugitive. She wants to be hidden. She never wants to get captured. She's a animal rights terrorist now. Okay, and the PR campaign against her is really bad. She's wicked. Okay. So he agrees to marry her the way a gay guy would agree to marry a woman, just to save his reputation in Hollywood. By the way, the actor that plays Prince Fiero, Jonathan Bailey, is gay as hell. Okay, there's no straight people involved in this movie, at least not many. All right, so that's going on here. Okay, Elphaba shows up. Okay. To see Glinda while she's getting ready for her wedding, which breaks all the mirrors. Elphaba does that, not because she's wearing makeup, green makeup, okay, or she's dressed in raggedy black clothes, and the broomstick hat. No, it's just because Cynthia Erivo is ugly as hell. Okay, so she just automatically breaks windows and mirrors when she walks into a room. That's not special effects. That happens in real life. So there's no way they could hide that in the movie. All right, so she walks in there, all the mirrors and glass break. Okay, Glinda hugs Elphaba. Okay, after making sure that no one saw her enter the room. Okay, Elphaba is a wanted fugitive. Okay, there's a bounty on her. Okay, bring her in, dead or alive. All right, so she shows up here after 5 years of doing nothing. She's got this magic book, the Grimoire, and she hasn't done a damn thing with it, I don't think. Okay, other than maybe help a few animals, but the animals don't even like her. They don't trust her. Okay, they don't want to stay in Oz for her. They're still escaping. So she hasn't done anything in the past 5 years. Okay, with that book, she's the only one that can use that book effectively. Okay, so even with that Grimoire book, she could easily overthrow the wizard and take over Oz. Okay, kill the wizard and free all the animals. And she could easily do it with that book, but she doesn't want to do it for some reason. And it's not talked about. She just doesn't do it for plot contrivance. Okay, if she does that, there's no movie, there's no play, there's no book. So they just, for some reason, she's some revolutionary, but yet she's more powerful than everyone she's fighting. So it's ridiculous. Okay, it's like remember the Matrix, the first Matrix movie in 1999. At the end of that movie, Neo is getting Superman-like, godlike powers. He can't die. He can fly like Superman. He cannot be beaten in a fight. Okay, he has superhuman speed now. Okay, he can see the Matrix, all that. So how the hell is anything the Matrix going to do going to stop him? No, there's nothing. He's too powerful now. Okay, that's what Elphaba is. But yet nobody seems to capitalize on this. Nobody points this out to her. Okay, and she does not come to this conclusion on her own either. For some reason, she still acts like a revolutionary living in a treehouse when she could easily take over the land of Oz and nobody could stop her. Nobody could stop her. You see what I mean? She's the only person. Her and Madame Morrible are the only people that actually have magical powers in the land of Oz. And Madame Morrible, she controls the weather. She doesn't do anything else. Whereas Elphaba's powers are unlimited, potentially. She can probably do anything. But now with that book, she can do anything. You see what I mean? And she's the only one who can read that book because she was just born. She's a chosen one. Like Neo from the Matrix. She's the chosen one. Okay, it's just ridiculous. They overpowered her. Okay, but yet they don't let her do anything with it. And we're supposed to be stupid and not realize that Elphaba could end this movie right now. She could have killed the wizard in the last movie easily. Nobody could have stopped her. She can fly better than those flying monkeys. You know, so like she can outmaneuver them in the air, so nobody can stop her. She can fly like at 250 miles an hour, for Christ's sake, probably faster. Okay, so who's going to catch up to her in the air? Nobody. You see what I mean? And the movie doesn't acknowledge this. Okay, yet it's so obvious. I'm pointing it out. Yet nobody who wrote this story pointed that out. Okay, all right. So that's going on. Glinda tells Elphaba, I make sure no one saw her in the room. They haven't seen each other in 5 years. Elphaba wants to see the wizard alone, but Glinda insists that she go with her. Glinda says, no, you can't talk to the wizard. I can talk to him. Let me talk to him on your behalf. I have a good relationship with him. He hates you. Okay, that kind of thing, all right? Elphaba just leaves her and says, no, I'm going without you. I got stuff to settle with him, and I don't need you there for that. Okay, forgetting completely that Glinda is part of the problem. Glinda is part of the society that is hunting down Elphaba. She is part of the propaganda campaign that has been labeled Elphaba as the Wicked Witch of the West. Meanwhile, labeling her as the Good Witch of the North. You see what I mean? Okay, Glinda is part of this evil problem that Elphaba has. Okay, but yet she's acting like, hey, I understand why you did it, but, we're still friends. No, how are you going to be friends with someone who's helping the people that are trying to kill you? You see what I mean? It makes no sense. This is ridiculous. All right? So that's going on here. The wizard, like I said, is playing with his train sets. He's just there playing with himself. Okay? Elphaba tells him that he's done, that it's over. She gives him an ultimatum. The wizard's not shocked to see Elphaba, since she stormed out of there in the last movie. Okay, he's actually like, oh, I knew you'd show back up here again eventually, and he's happy that she arrived. He's happy that she's there. Elphaba demands that the wizard admit to the citizens of Oz, okay, that he is a complete fraud, okay, and that he cannot read the Grimoire magic book. He only pretends to have magic. He has no special powers, no abilities. He can't save anybody. He is a trickster. She demands that he tell that to all the people out there, the entire crowd. All right, now the wizard just laughs at that, okay? Well, she could have done this in the last movie, all right? The wizard laughs at this, okay? All right, he laughs off and he asks her, hey, can't we just start again, Elphaba? Instead of you just coming in here making demands on me, can't we just start all over again and try to be friends again? That kind of thing, okay? Glinda agrees to listen to him. Okay, and Elphaba goes on to monologue, all right, about how she used to believe, okay, she used to believe in the wizard. Okay, and we saw that in the last movie. She said, nobody believed in you more than I. I believed in you so much, I honestly thought that you were a wonderful Wizard of Oz. Okay, but she realizes that he is fake. He has no powers, okay, he cannot grant wishes, okay. And she demands that the people know the truth about him. They know that he's a fraudster, okay? That he's a carny, a confidence man, a trickster, okay? His real name is Oscar Diggs, and he's from Omaha, Nebraska. He got caught up, he was in his hot air balloon, he got caught up in a tornado, he ended up in the land of Oz, and he quickly took it over because the people there were gullible, okay? And he used his trickery and his magic tricks to convince the citizens that he had magical powers, okay? That's what happened, okay? And the reason they call him the Wizard is because he idolized the Wizard of Menlo Park, okay? And who is Thomas Edison. That was his nickname, the Wizard of Menlo Park. So he saw himself as a contemporary of Thomas Edison. An inventor, a trickster, a charlatan, a fraudster, a con man, a mystic, a fortune teller, that kind of shit, okay? He was all those things. All right, an escape artist, all that. That's what he was, okay? And so he just conned the citizens of Oz that he had magical powers, and they made him the wizard, okay? Now, he explains to Elphaba something very, very important, and it is about PR. It is about political stuff here. He tells her, okay, that even if he were to admit to all the citizens of Oz right now that he was a fake, nobody in Oz would believe it, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? He says, they're never going to stop believing in me. And you know why? Because they don't want to. And that's the truth. If you get caught up in an ideology, if you get caught up in some sort of a movement, there's always going to be a spiritual head, okay? Okay, but it's not necessarily the spiritual head that you are loyal to. It is the movement, the ideology, the cause, if you will, the cause, okay? And if some guy steps into the role and say, I want to take leadership of this cause, and if he's charismatic, you'll follow him, okay? And you'll conflate the cause with the man. So if something happens to the man, the man dies, the cause dies. And since the cause is more important than the man, we have to keep the man alive so that the cause can stay alive. You see what I mean? That's what's going on here. And the wizard understands this. He's conflated himself with the freedom and the security, okay, and the progressiveness of the land of Oz. Okay? We are going to prosper here in Oz. We're all going to have it well. Okay? Because that's what I'm fighting for. Okay? And if you read between the lines of this, what he's basically telling the people is, if you remove me as wizard, you're not going to have the happiness and the prosperity. Okay? You can only have it through me. Okay? And that's convinced an entire generation to keep the Wizard of Oz in power. If someone were to come up and tell them, hey, listen, you know what? The wizard's fake. He's not a real leader. He has no magical powers. He cannot save this land. If you were to tell him that, it's like going up to a Christian and telling him there is no Jesus. You see what I mean? They're not going to believe it. They're going to reject your hypothesis because they don't want to accept it. It goes against their fundamental belief. No, I believe in the happiness of all the citizens of Oz. I believe in the security of the citizens of Oz. Okay? If you remove my leader, you're going to take away that belief. And I ain't sure as hell going to let you take away that belief. So fuck you. You see what I mean? That's how cults work. Okay? That's how politics are. You see what I mean? That's what it's all about. And the wizard understands this. So it doesn't matter if Elphaba spills the beans on the wizard. Okay? Okay? They're not going to believe it because they already want him. They believe so much in the wizard that if they were to lose the wizard for any reason, they're going to think that their life in the land of Oz is going to suffer for it, and they're not going to let that happen. You see what I mean? The two are conflated to be the same. Okay, their happiness and the wizard being in power are the same thing to them. Okay, so that's going on here. Okay, and he starts to sing now while playing with his toys like a little fucking kid. He starts to sing a song called "Wonderful." I am just so wonderful, and you can be. Oh no, not wonderful. Wonderful and marvelous. Marvelous. We're all just so marvelous. That kind of crap. Who knows? I don't remember the song. Come on, man. I want to see this movie once. All right, so he starts singing all that crap, okay? And of course, Glinda's there now, and her and Elphaba are singing and dancing. They're doing the eyeball thing again, like they did in the last movie. Okay, while they're dancing around the little palace there, the wizard's palace, there's the robot head is smiling and moving, shaking his head too, and singing with them. It's ridiculous. I don't know who told Jeff Goldblum that he was a singer, but he's not. I know he wants to be a singer. I know he's like cut albums and shit, but like nothing sold. Okay, I don't think anybody showed up to his live concerts. Okay, but yeah. So anyway, he's attempting to sing. Okay, The Fly is attempting to sing. And I love Jeff Goldblum. I love his movies. Okay, The Fly. I loved him in Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the late 70s. Yes, he was in that movie. I especially loved him from Thank God It's Friday. It was a comedy disco movie from the late 70s. Okay, he played the owner of the discotheque. Okay, he was young back then. Okay, obviously I love The Fly. I've seen him in other things too. He's a great actor. Independence Day. I mean, he's just there. Jurassic Park, of course. How can we forget that? Okay, his tone, his vocal mannerisms. It's just like yes, well, absolutely. You see, when you're dealing with things like this, well, there you have it. like that. He's just like stuttering, he's just fucking crazy, okay? This guy is just a fucking cartoon, okay? Jeff Goldblum is just a cartoon, okay? Transylvania 65000. He plays himself in every damn movie, okay? And this is no exception, all right? So, and he's a ladies' man too. He's been through a lot of women. Laura Dern, Gina Davis. Okay, I think he's like on his 6th wife now or something, who's like a good 30 years younger than him. Okay, of course. Okay, of course. So yeah, Jeff Goldblum. I mean, yeah, he's been around a long time. All right, I grew up watching him. All right. Okay, and here he's the wizard, a Jewish Wizard of Oz. Go figure. Okay, so that's going on here. He's singing Wonderful. Okay, they all sing with him. It's a song about how the truth does not matter. Okay, and that's all political. The truth does not matter. Okay, the truth will not set you free. The truth does not matter. What matters is what people believe. You see what I mean? What matters is what people believe. Okay, and the wizard understands this, and that's why he's trying to explain that through this song to Elphaba. Truth doesn't matter. What matters is what people believe. Okay, and they offer a chance to join them again. Okay, after the stuff that happened last time, they say, hey, you can be a part of this again. Okay, we're not going to shut the door on you. All right, we're not going. I don't want to burn any bridges here. You can come back. You can come back and work with us again, okay? You can be a part of this wonderful land of Oz that we're building here, okay? We'll take you back. We'll forgive you. I still want you to be my right-hand woman here, okay? That kind of thing, Okay, and Glinda and her, they go on a swing together. She takes her broomstick and makes a swing out of it, and they just like sit there together on a swing, okay? And they offer her a chance to join them again, all right? And they all sing and dance, okay, in the Wizard of Oz room. Okay, the room with the big mechanical head. Okay, even the mechanical head, like I said, is singing with them and moving. This is the Jeff Goldblum mechanical head. Okay, Elphaba has some demands for the wizard, though, before she joins. Elphaba demands that the wizard allow all the animals of Oz who are being persecuted because of him. We found that out in the last movie, that he has been persecuting, taking away the rights of all the animals, putting them in cages. Okay, imprisoning them because he knows that if they grow up in cages, they're gonna lose the ability to speak. Okay, so he has been persecuting the animals. All right. Okay, we found that out in the last movie. Elphaba demands that the wizard allow the animals to live in peace and freedom in the land of Oz, and that his personal spies, those flying blue monkeys that you saw, okay, the ones with the wings in their back, okay, she demands that he set them free. They no longer work for you. They are free. Now, Elphaba is the one that gave them wings by mistake. The wizard tricked her into reading from the book for the first time, and she accidentally cast a spell on these monkeys, these blue monkeys that were his guards, that were the wizard's guards, and they painfully grew wings out of their backs. Okay? Once you cast a spell from the Grimoire, you cannot undo it. Okay, and so Elphaba apologizes to them for giving them wings. That was a very painful experience they had to go through. All right? And she wants the wizard to set them free and to allow the animals back into the land of Oz with complete rights and freedoms, okay? And to live in peace, away from persecution. Okay? So that's her demands. Those are her 2 demands. And then she'll rejoin the wizard, okay? She'll join the wizard's side, okay? Okay, and after a very long time, after a very long pause, the wizard's like, well, done. Just like that, all right? So he agrees to her demands, okay? So Glinda's now happy, now that Elphaba is back on the team, okay? Now, why the hell would Elphaba, she does realize that there's a huge PR campaign against her, okay? How do you just, let that go? Okay, the whole land of Oz thinks that Elphaba is a monster, okay? They think that she's a horrible monster, all right? How the hell is she going to recover from that? What's the wizard going to do? Go oh yeah, we were wrong about her. She's actually a good girl after all. How's that going to make up for the past 5 years when everybody in Oz was hunting her down and trying to kill her or running away from her? Or giving up her location? You see what I mean? Done doesn't fix all that. You see what I mean? So I never really bought the fact that she ever would go back to the wizard, okay? Because I would never trust somebody like that again. After what they did, if that had been me, I wouldn't even considered joining the wizard after all the shit he put me through. Hell no. Anyway, so Glinda is happy. The wizard gives her the key to Oz. Here's a key I made for you. It's the key to the city, the Emerald City. Elphaba officially frees the blue monkeys. The leader of the Blue Monkeys' name is Chistery, and she apologizes to him personally for giving him the wings. Okay, and then she frees all of them. Okay, and before Chittery leaves, he does show Elphaba that there is a hidden room in the palace there. Okay, but we'll get to that later. Okay, meanwhile, the wizard excuses himself because the wedding is going to happen right now. Glenna's wedding is about to happen. So the wizard tells Elphaba, okay, you know what, here, if I'm going to present myself for the wedding, I better spruce up. So he leaves. Okay, so now Elphaba and Chistery are alone in this room. Okay, in the wizard's main room. Okay, and Chistery points to this picture of the wizard on the wall. Okay, it's a circular picture. Okay, and basically tells Elphaba to look in here. Okay, so Elphaba goes up there, she rolls the picture out of the way, and there's a hidden room in there, which is completely dark. Okay, so she goes in there, okay, behind the painting, and she finds out that this room is filled up with animals that are in cages. Tigers, birds, goats, elephants, you name it. Giraffes, they're all locked up in cages. Okay? So at this moment, she recognizes one of them was her college professor, Dr. Dillamon, the goat. Okay? The goat that was teaching her about history, the history of Oz. Okay? She was friends with that professor, okay? And she recognizes him and tries to talk to him. And she's like, Dr. Dillamon, do you remember me? It's me, Elphaba. And Dr. Dillamon's like, meh. Okay, so he's lost the ability to speak. He doesn't sound like Peter Dinklage anymore. Okay, so this is the last straw. She realizes now that the wizard is not going to keep his promise. He's not going to free the animals. Okay, he just lied to her to get her to join his side. Okay, he cannot be trusted. All right. Okay, I'm going to stop my review right here, but I'll be back to continue my review of this movie. I thank you very much for watching this long, and I will see you soon on the next one. Bye.